there we can have some echoes going on. I've got my own followers, which is kind of interesting, and hopefully we'll see some people on YouTube jump across. I'm going to fill some air for a little bit because I think Kaya is stuck in school traffic. But in the meantime, I'm going to go over to Twitch and see if I'm being auto-hosted. I don't seem to be auto-hosted by Chef. That is an interesting one. Let's see if I can get them to auto-host me. Come on, you can do it. Where are we? All right, Twitch. You down the road. Okay, let's go and Chris dashboard. Let's see if we can. There we go. Let's just send some people across. Cool. Hey, welcome everybody. Who do we have over today? I can't get my words out. It's not happening. There'll be no words coming out of my mouth today. And let me just see. So yeah, today I'm going to go through making our first pull request. I'm going to use my GitHub account, and we're going to make a pretty small, pretty simple contribution to one of the sous chef cookbooks called Docker. That'll just give us the ability to just add, well, actually, we're going to, with that pull request, we're going to kind of update it slightly and make it a little bit nicer. There won't be a huge number of technical changes. Thankfully, the Docker cookbook has got a ton of changes, or a ton of tests, sorry, and we're going to heavily rely on those tests working, and I know for a sneak peek reason in a second, they will fail when I move things across because we've made things a little bit simpler in the background. So I'll talk through that really, really slowly rather than the 100 miles an hour I'm doing at the moment. But has anyone got any questions about the hackathon that we're doing over at Chef at the moment? If you have, and if you haven't seen that stuff yet, you haven't done that, the rewards are pretty mad. So I'll just drop a link at the bottom there. Chef-hackathon.devpost.com. The first prize is $15,000 US, and then it goes down to 10, and then 5 for teams, which is pretty awesome. There's also some PS5s to be won and some other stuff. There's a whole host of rules that are on the bottom there, like what things are and aren't eligible. We go through that every Tuesday at the moment, so we're doing some AMAs every Tuesday about the hackathon, and occasionally we just play some games because that's quite nice little interlude there. So if you're up for playing games with us or asking about anything stream related or not stream related, hackathon related, and join us every Tuesday. But if you I'm going to get oh, I've blocked. Yes. I think Kaya's made her way back out of traffic, and we'll have her in a second, which would be nice. It won't just be me talking to an empty wall, which is cool. Here we got. Let me just go and see my Twitch stream. Hey, Kaya.
Hey there.
How's it going?
I was on our our other restream, and I was like, "What's going on?" I know I see Dan, but I don't see Dan.
It's very confusing. Like, what's going on? So I've auto-hosted myself over on Chef Software. Somehow we've got 150 followers now, which is always super, super nice.
Awesome.
I don't know when that
Yay.
happened, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Can I like? There we go. It's not gonna play ball locally. I'll just forget about the mobile app for now. But yeah, how's it going? How's it going?
It is going good for the second to last day of the week.
So I've got Fridays off, and it's the best thing I've done for a while. Yeah, just like I know now that it's like Thursdays. Like I get to end of day Thursday, I'm like, oh, I've got Friday to go, and then it's just Friday, and then I'm like, and then I stop work, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. What's going on? Oh yeah, I'm actually like, that's a 3-day weekend. And my mind melts a little bit. So I've only been 2 weeks in a row now.
Right.
But it's pretty cool. I feel like I've got a much better work-life balance, which is really, really nice.
Work-life balance is everything.
Yeah, I just I always planned to do it when I had a little kid, and I actually pulled that trigger as soon as I started working for Chef. I was like, oh, I'm in September, little kid's going to nursery. He's going to go 2 days a week, and then my wife's going back 3 days a week. I only want to go back 1 day a week. I say 1 day a week, 4 days a week. So it's kind of like works out in a kind of hodgepodge fashion, but it's quite nice. And then I'll at least won't be working for like basically his entire like toddlerness, which would be nice. And like we're in that kind of position now. We're in that kind of world where we can just like not have to work 5 days a week or 7 days a week. It's not necessary. Yeah. So it's take what I can. Let me just figure out who's on a Twitch stream, because I want to say hi to everybody. Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Oh, new people. These are your folks.
Sam was.
Oh no, Sam. I've seen him before on our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on,
Okay.
Stop it. Pause. Stop it. I got like a double echo there. Stop it.
Oh, cool.
Stop it. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Let me see. We've got
/afternoon /evening, wherever you are in the world.
It is Birmingham.
Early. Oh, hey Jeff.
It's El Jeff. But we got CalQT, and then we got a couple of people from got a few people over from the Chef stream, which is pretty sweet. Should be nice. Well, let's close it down because I don't need to see that anymore. Yeah, so we're gonna go and look at trying to move his custom resources, move that library over to custom resources. It's pretty simple in the grand scheme of things, but if you haven't done any coding before, this is probably the stream to look at, because we're going to do something really simple, or as simple as I can make it, at least anyway.
Sweet. Okay, so what are we going over? What we going over? Turning custom resources.
So it's a library into a custom resource.
Library to custom resources.
And it's mostly a copy and paste. And I'll show you why this is a really nice example in a second. Okay. But this is spoilers. Spoilers. Go away. So let's give it libraries a second. So we've got a cookbook. It's a Docker cookbook. If none of you are aware, you haven't done any Chef before, each of the folders do different things. So documentation folder is where I always stick the documentation for Chef cookbooks. And this is the Chef Infra cookbook. So we're worried about, or we're concerned about creating resources on a server. In this case, we're configuring Docker and making sure Docker images get onto the machine the correct way. And we can do things like we can prune them, we can do image prune, we can do pull the images down, delete them, set up Docker networking if we need to do it in a specific way, and all that kind of Docker goodness there. I think they're all, so this is all documented. So if I just turn on my Markdown preview and then make it a bit bigger, we should say a bunch of things. This is the Docker container resource. And if I, sorry, example maybe at the bottom, hopefully, come on, give me an example. Scrolly, there we go. So we do Docker container, hello world. We just want to create the hello world container. And it will start a container. It will create a container without starting it. And that just creates the container. It doesn't actually start it. And then you have all these options here. Under the hood, the Docker cookbook is pretty complicated, and we're not going to go through that today because that's totally out of scope, and I think might blow people's minds. But the low level is we talk to the Docker gem, which is really nice. And the Docker gem is really, really pretty sweet. But we don't need to worry about that today. That's documentation. We have a library, and we have a load of libraries here. And let's just go into like image for a second. And I have started this one, but it's a bit gnarly, and there's a lot of moving parts. So we won't be doing this one today because this will take me more than 10 minutes to fix. I want to do something I can fix within 10 minutes.
Okay, that's a good challenge.
Yeah, and so I have done this a few times now. If you've seen the Docker cookbook on the Chef community Slack, oh yeah, Jeff, I'm with you. This cookbook does give me headaches, but if you look,
what about it gives you headaches? Is it? Tell me.
There's lots of extra. I mean, so for example, this bit here, not super obvious what it does. So we've got a module called Docker Cookbook. So we have it's the way of namespacing things in Ruby, and then we have a class called Docker Image, which inherits from Docker Base. What the heck is Docker Base? Well, we've made a class called Docker Base. I'll go over here into libraries, and this is Docker Base, which is inherits from Chef Resource, and this is the way of doing it in sort of ye olde schooly way, and this is totally legitimate way of creating a custom resource in libraries, and this is how you would have had to do it before. If you wanted to share properties between custom resources, so let's say you had for every time you talk to the Docker gem or the Docker daemon, you had some connection properties. Well, in the base, what's going on in the background there? Where are we? Scroll. So we've got API retries, read timeout, write timeout. Like all of these things are how we talk to Docker, the underlying Docker stuff. Just fine. Like TLS verify, like these will be on most of the classes, and they're all Ruby classes at the end of the day, but we don't really want to share that to the user. So we want to share this. So by inheriting from this thing, we get to have all the properties it comes with. Just nice. Okay. However, as a Chef user, you might not be like fully up with how Ruby works. And the inner workings of how Chef, the resource class in Chef works, and the custom resources pattern, just like basically does all this for you. It makes these things happen, and then with let's say I'll get to one I've done already. So with container, did I do it? We do container. No, it's fine. With container, we need the base one and we need the logging one. So all the logging properties are there. So we have like some common things we do. If a resource needs logging items, like the logging driver and the logging options, then the logging, and then you'll see what's called a partial, and then so log drivers and log options. These are things we'll want to reuse over and over again. And then base, I've just copied the word base, but actually we could probably split it out into a number of things. So there's like connection stuff there. So underscore connection, we might want to call it instead.
Okay.
But this is in the future because what I want to do is not change too many things at once. I just want to release things, make sure they work, change them, make sure they work, and then improve them as a sort of step-by-step measure. Because we could totally just do what I initially tried to do and do what I call a table flip, which is change everything in one go. It will work, and you'll be there for weeks. You won't know what broke when it breaks.
Sounds like a table flip.
So we won't do that. We won't be doing this because I've done this too many times now. You get yourself in a you'll get your knickers in a twist. So
Okay.
instead, what we want to do is we want to end up with a resource. We have a load of properties, a property name, and some, like, what kind of Ruby type it is, and some other
So
stuff.
here,
So,
this is where you're like, are you declaring things essentially here?
yeah, so this is our
Okay.
custom resource, and we want it to look like this. So we have a bit of code that has extra boilerplate, as it were, and we want to remove that boilerplate stuff, and we just want to use the magic that is the resources folder for that. So let's take, for example, the I think it's the image resource, maybe not the image resource, the network resource, because I've just seen this. Yeah, so we've got Docker Cookbook, network, Docker base. So what we want to do with this is we want to have a file called network, and I'll explain that in a second. So if we just do git env, and you'll see I've done this a few times in the past with my move, libraries, Docker network to resources network. So Dan, why are you not calling it the same thing? Well, with custom resources, the cookbook name is prefixed before it, so you don't need that at all. So the resource name will come out as Docker_network because we're in the Docker cookbook. So fine, that's one more thing we don't have to worry about. Let's get rid of that a second, and then open the network resource. And now we are in the resources folder. We don't need to declare this stuff. Fix that in a second. So just delete those two, that module and that class, because that's all handled for us magically. Very much the person who wrote resources. So lovely. Well, as I said a second ago, our resource name is now Docker Network, so we don't need those anymore. And one of the things we haven't set in the library is the unified mode. So you say, I've gone over unified mode before, but I won't go over it again. But I'm going to copy and paste this thing I did earlier on. So we want unified mode is true, which is like an extra property we want on our resource. And a bunch of nice things for us. Makes the chef run one rather than a compile and converge. Then we want to use the base one because I'm pretty sure if we're inheriting from Docker base, we want the base properties. So that's one line there rather than the block there. And it's actually much nicer because we kind of understand what's in that partial. So whatever. Driver options, don't really need any of this stuff here. And then we're going to carry on down. And then I'm going to remove this because this should be obvious now. If you haven't seen alias method before, if you change a property name on a custom resource or a library resource, you can have aliases for them. So the aux address in this auxiliary address, you can also call it aux address. So you can use either property name and it will do the same thing, which is fine. And so gateway, subnet, and then some low current value stuff. Well, that's sadly kind of obvious, so it's not helpful. So I'm going to get rid of it. And so I have a habit of deleting comments I don't think are useful anymore. If they are useful, just shout at me and I'll put back in. So some other stuff, some of the other things in this cookbook are really well documented. So we'll keep them. Although I'm not sure IPAM is like, I don't really know. That's not helpful. And so I'm just going to delete it. And this is really helpful. So we actually check overlapping subnets here. So I'm going to leave that in because we're describing what we're doing in that method there. So I'm going to leave it. And then I'm going to do something called chef exec delivery local. So what we've done there is move the library over to a custom resource. And we'll know when it's on the main branch still. So I'll explain all the Git stuff in a second because we don't need to worry about that. What this is doing underneath the hood is firstly running cookstyle, and then we're running rspec. So cookstyle is just our Rubicop engine with some steroids inside of it, which is pretty sweet. our spec, we've actually got it's Chef spec, so it's our spec under the hood, but with some Chef things around the edge of it.
Okay.
I was expecting that to break. Oh, no, it didn't break. This is fine. We're okay. I was expecting it to.
Okay.
So I was expecting the spec. So the spec network. Network spec. I was expecting this to break, but it didn't break, so we're all good.
Oh, cool.
Container. So what's that? Network. And network spec. Yeah, I mean this is all fine. So apparently it's fine, and we didn't break it, I think. So what we get to do now is the, I guess, the important bit, which is all the Git things. I'm probably going to go slower than I would do normally because I have it all like muscle memory in, so let's go a bit slower. So on the main branch right now, we've got some code. What we should have done before we started coding, I didn't do it because I wanted to, I've gone the other way around, is we want to branch. So the new way of branching is git switch. And we want to create a branch. Rather than committing straight to main or master, we'll want to create a new branch. I'm going to call it resource. And the resource we've changed in this instance is the git status. Not get the state. The files we've changed. We've changed the network. So I'm going to use that. So git git switch -c, which creates the branch. I will respond to Jeff in a second about his systemd sysinit v stuff in a second. I've just seen that. That's cool. That's really, really cool. So yeah, we've got resource and the network. So we're going to switch to the network branch. Thanks very much. And then if I do git status, we can see we've moved a file. So the Git is still tracking this file. We said, hey, you've moved this file around. And we've also got this new thing called, we haven't staged some changes. So I'm going to do git add. So I'm trying to add all the files, all the changes. We're just going to add them. In the status, and then we have changed so much in the file. We've actually got to delete a new file. It's a little bit frustrating, but that's okay. But we've changed everything in the file because we've removed the module and then the class, and then the two ends, and then we've indented everything backwards. So we've essentially 100% changed that file, line for line. Every line has got a change in it, which is a bit frustrating, but it's okay, not a problem. So we've got that, and then what we haven't got so far is the changelog. So changelogs are really important if you don't know about those. They log your changes. So what have we done? What have we've been trying to do? And this is really important, or it's helpful for your Git commit messages. If you're releasing every single commit, then your changelog and your commit messages tend to be very, very similar. Sometimes they'll be the same. So in our circumstances, we're probably going to be the same at this point. So we're going to move the Docker network library to a custom source. That's it. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to copy that because I'm lazy. And I'm going to also make this. So git commit. So we're going to commit this as our commit message because that's actually a pretty decent commit message. Often commit messages and change logs, if they're one-to-one, will be the same. So like why you're doing something. So if applied, this commit is going to do something. So I'm going to move the Docker network library to a custom resource. Why am I doing this? And I can probably explain this. This removes a number of why are we doing this? I have no idea anymore. My brain's gone. Anyone got a suggestion? What am I going to say? I'm going to take a drink a second. I'll take a break. It removes a number of bananas. No, bananas. No, you can tell I've been awake since 5:30 this morning. Moves the what do? I was explaining we could how it's unified mode. Allows us to remove the scaffolding. I don't want to say scaffolding. It's the library inheriting from Chef resource, and instead rely on the custom source magic to do heavy lifting. So I kind of explained what we were doing there, and I'm just going to do so which GGP. So I'm going to do GGP now. We should just git push origin and then our current branch name up. Why I'm doing that? I'll try. So it was git add dot, so git add everything again, git commit, amend, no edit. So what I didn't add my changelog to my previous commit, which is a bit of a shame. So I've just added that and then amended it, and then I'm going to do git push -- force. I should have programmed with lease, but I didn't do that because I know it's my branch and I'm the only one working on it. If you're not the only person working on a branch and you do git push force, do force with lease instead. Or just always do force with lease, because it'll tell you when you've done it wrong. And if you do force with lease, if someone else has pushed up a commit, in the meantime, it won't override their commit, which is nice.
Okay.
So if you've gone up there and you're pushing, force pushing, and someone comes along and pushes another commit, it will say, yeah, someone made a change. You need to pull that change down before you can do another change. It's just a really sensible way of working with multiple people in the same branch, which you should do, which is cool. Then I have a random email. Lovely. Let's just open this up. So when you push a branch to GitHub for the first time, it has a really nice message when it comes back saying, hey, you might want to create a pull request for this new branch. And I'm just, if you're in VS Code and you're on Mac, you can do command click and you can click on the hyperlink, which is nice.
Cool.
And I'm going to just reshare my screen with the new pull request. Should hopefully be simple. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Or maybe disgustingly big, I don't know. So move the Docker network library to a custom resource. I think that seems like a reasonable title there. And then some of this stuff is sous chef specific, so I'm going to cut that off. Don't need that line because it's E. So all this is taken from our commit message. I'm just going to fill each of these fields in one by one. So under the description, we're just going to copy and paste our what's our change log. Well, that was our commit message actually. So having a good commit message just makes it easier for you to fill these fields in most of the time. So I've already done all the hard work here. So I've had add to unified mode, allows to remove the library from inheriting the chef resource, and instead rely on the custom resource magic to do the heavy lifting. I mean, that's a reasonably detailed description, probably more than I've been putting for the last ones, so that's fine. And then issues resolved. So we're actually not resolving any issues. So I'm just going to put NA to this one, and then we're going to do some checklists. So all tests pass. Well, I know they do locally, and then new functionality includes testing. Well, we've just moved the file around, so that should be fine. And then new functionality has been documented in the README, if applicable. So yes, thank you very much.
Cool.
You know, this has got a drop down here. If you're submitting a pull request and you do not want to, you can create a draft pull request basically. So it doesn't require code owner's review and cannot be merged. So if you're not ready to be merged yet, and you kind of it's a work in progress, draft pull request is your friend there. So I'm going to create a normal PR there. See, we've added 232 and removed 246, so we've kind of removed a bit more. Then we've added, which is cool. I always like removing things. And we've got a red X here. I'm going to make this a little bit. Did we change the metadata version? I don't remember changing that. So let me explain what's going on here. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
That's fine. So I'm going to do this in the background. In fact, no, let's not do that background. Let's not cheat. Stop sharing a second. We've got a can I do that? This will be fine. It's always the case. I thought I pulled down the branch, and I hadn't pulled down the branch, which means I've now got a change log, we have got a non-functioning brain today. Apparently, we've got a merge conflict, and these happen occasionally, so it's fine. So I've what's in the background is I've pulled down the latest version of main, which has our updated version of network class, because I did actually merge in a change from a while ago, which was add IP and IPv6 properties of Docker network. But what I'm going to do
over it.
Yeah. So
what's the worst that can happen? Just rebase it, all of it.
So rebasing will get us halfway there. So that's why I've pulled on the main.
I was actually just
git checkout dash, which will get you back to the branch I was on before. So it's on network. So if you do git checkout dash, it always goes back to. I'll do it again. It'll take me back to main. So little tip there. So back on network, I'm going to git rebase. Git rebase origin main. Fine. So we've deleted some files. If I go grab this, and I actually want Docker network, I'm gonna grab the whole thing, and that's fine. And then if I go into this wasn't planned, but it might be helpful for somebody. Resources, no. Resources network, and then we're going to do. So we're basically going to do this entire thing again, but we don't need that. Don't need that again. Scroll down, and we're just going to delete those two ends, and then get rid of that. And then we're going to do the whole unified mode and partials again. It's that useful. Thanks very much. Then, why do we need this? Oh, because we need it for this, which is nice. So we've got network. Network is back in the state we wanted it to be in, and then we've got a merge, an actual merge conflict that I need to do here, which is accept the incoming change. Oh, actually, is that? Accept both changes because we want both. And then this is our change, so we're going to put it into released. But it's fine. Honestly, he says slightly on fire. And do git status again. That will get us back to like what's going on. So changelog we fixed, I know. So let's add that. And what we want to do is here is get rid of all the reds. Deleted by them. So add that. That's fine. And not safe for commits. So we're going to do git add dot. So well, I'm happy with those. So it's base dash. New. And then I'm just going to force push that up. So rebase this branch back up. Let's see what that looks like, I guess. Let's give this a little refresh and see if it... So that's good. So we've got less actual problems now. That's fine. The metadata change was because we were using the old version of metadata, so it thought we had changed it, and we hadn't. And these will go through. So we've now submitted a pull request, which isn't broken, which is always nice. Thanks very much. And we're going to go through the checks. So we've got CI, Markdown links, CI YAML lint, and this kind of stuff. So if I go into, so we've got we've got a variety of things happening here. So these are all checks. The top ones are GitHub Actions, and these three here are our bot. So this is our sous chef bot, kitchen porter, that says, like, checking this commit has a single label. It doesn't have that. Spoiler. We'll fix that in a second. A changelog validator, so checking the changelog has an entry under this heading. We did that already, so it's pretty nice. And then ensuring the metadata version number hasn't changed. We didn't change it, so we're all good there. And then danger also runs. So if I scroll to the top here, danger is thing doing this. So that's it. I should put this here. Danger is warning us that it's a big pull request. Danger can also do things like make sure you do change logs and this kind of stuff. In the background, it's really nice if you're doing open source to have danger on it. We don't use this hugely anymore because we've written our own tools, but if you don't want to write your own tools, Danger's got a really nice set of suites. Let me just, our label called base. We've got major, minor, and patch. I won't explain that today, but if you know Semver, it's just Semver. It's a minor one because we're, actually probably could be a patch, but I do minors because I'm feeling weird. And hopefully now I've added a release label that should go green. It's gone green. Thanks very much. Now we've got a ton of integration checks here. What are they actually doing? So if I go to checks, our Circle CI checks have come back. Our CI checks have come back, and then our Markdown links checks. These are all separate suites of checks. If I click on CI, 1 of 31 jobs have completed. Oh, 2 now, lovely. And can I scroll? Can I scroll? And this is basically us done at this point. We're going to go and submit so we've submitted the pull request. We're going to wait for another contributor to either approve or deny our change, and we should be good. Hopefully, this will go green. But that's basically everything, everything that we can see today. That will get us past our first pretty simple pull request.
Okay.
We ran Chef Exec Delivery Local All, which is our spec and our cook style locally, so we knew it wasn't going to fail the first stage. So we did our quick tests locally. And then this is doing our sort of long smoke tests here. I say long, they're pretty quick actually. It's like 1 minute and 16 seconds to fully test that Debian 10 could do something. Was it Debian 10 is doing? It can install via Tarball. It can install Docker via Tarball. In fact, the smoke test, which is a full suite of tests on Amazon Linux, only took 40 seconds because it's that quick these days, which is really nice, including installing Chef, which boggles my mind.
Wow.
Oh, so it wasn't 40 seconds. That's 40 seconds ago in 1 minute 36. So yeah, installing Chef and doing the dock and stuff took us no time at all.
Wow.
And the installing Chef is literally getting Test Kitchen on the machine, so we can then use Docker to run Chef. So actually, we just needed Test Kitchen on the machine, so we probably could speed that up with just doing a gem install Test Kitchen, but let's not do that because that's nasty. So there's maybe some optimizations there if we want to like shave off 10 seconds, but I'd rather not do that. Or at least we know we're running a current or latest version of Test Kitchen, so that's all good. So it's going to pass probably. And this is here's one I made earlier. It's gone green already. In fact, I think it's been approved. It's not been approved. Okay.
Is that the bot?
So Jason approved it, or Zarima approved it, and then I had to rebase it because reasons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke people in the sous chef room to be like, hey, could you review this? That one, and then let's go back, and then 1191. Wow, we've had 1,191 issues and pull requests. That's mad. Hopefully that wasn't too dry. Some of it's coding is always dry, but hopefully someone learned some interesting stuff there. But it's like, well, this is how you submit a pull request. These are like, this is the thing that sous chef do. And then why would I want to move to custom resources from a library resource that was already working? Spoiler, like we haven't done all the optimization yet. We're just doing slimming the things down first of all, and then we're doing a really incremental improvement with this cookbook. And that's my favorite way of doing it is like if you can, rather than if you've got good tests that are reliable and they kind of don't need hugely refactoring, or you haven't got a thing that a resource or a class that is dependent upon by everything else, then if you change that one class, you've got to change the entire world. That's the table flip territory, which I've been in before. So the Apache cookbook, you move one thing and the entire thing you'd change. You're like, right, fine, I guess I'm doing a table flip. There are a few places and times that's necessary. It's super boring. It takes flipping ever as well. And you can't figure out, if you get to a point where you're like, everything is broken, I don't know where I've gone wrong, which is super easy to get to. Your rollback point is like Control Z a few times. You can't rely on Git at that point because you probably haven't done a Git commit. I know I don't do Git commit until I know that it's in a working state, because I don't really like committing code that I know is broken unless I'm getting CI to run my tests for me, which I always like. That happens a lot. And then usually then those commit messages are squash me or get rid of me, because I don't want the commits there. Like, they're known broken commits, so you can't really roll back to that point in the Git history. But you could, but you would just get a broken state of cookbook. So yeah. Hopefully that was helpful, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Cool.
So I guess my question is, in which cases would you want to make convert a library to a resource? Is it a situation where you are continuously reusing it, or how's that?
So this library here was basically a custom resource anyway, with a bunch of fluff around the edge of it. We're just trimming the fluff off, basically, when we're relying on some auto magic. I guess was the case here. So we're like, well, Chef will do this for us, so let's not do this anymore. Or we've got a nice way of doing this now, so let's get rid of this, and this. And this is like not the like. If you go and see the documentation that I've written on docs.chef.io custom resources, I'm going to be doing some iterations on that on documentation up there, but use custom resources this way is the way that everyone should now be writing it. So if you don't do it this way, like the library way is the way you used to do it. You used to have to do it because there were just Ruby files loaded in at runtime. You're like, well, I guess they get loaded, so you had no choice on how it was loaded, when it was loaded, all this kind of stuff. But now we have a bit more choice and a bit more leverage and a bit more maneuverability, which is quite nice. And custom resources just look a lot tidier when they're done.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like readability and
So there's a lot of shorthand in that. So one thing we can do. So maybe just go and bring up whilst it's still fresh in my mind. So that like, if I bring up VS Code again, let's get rid of that and go over to this is very chef specific here. So you'll see this a lot in a lot of places. So if you don't set something, then maybe people will be like, oh well, if it's nil, then do that. Like, so this property will accept a string or a nil. Like, no, I don't. I would just do that, because nil, that's nil. Like, if you don't set a property, you'll get nil for it. So don't do that. This is a really interesting one. We accept, so custom resources will just accept Ruby objects, or objects. So a string or a hash, a Docker volume is a type, or a class, sorry. So we'll accept all of those kind of things. So we've made a thing called a Docker volume from the API, and we can do this. So we can pass in a Docker volume as part of the property, and that's kind of cool. Actually, I've not seen that before. The Docker cookbook is crazy in places. What else we got? So like, I get rid of these nil properties, or if you've got like, as we did network, didn't we? So string array and nil, again, get rid of nil. True, false, get rid of nil again. Get rid of that. Get rid of that again. And like these are like things you might have used in the past, but now they're just not needed ever at all. We just get rid of it. And sometimes people do things like, if you accept an array in, so let's take this one. So if we could take an array in, and then the default would be like a blank array. You're like, well, yeah, that's. You can also do the same thing with like accepting nil here. So there are like conventions of how we used to do things and how we do things now. Just don't set a default. Say like, do that. Don't do this anymore. It's less typing, and you can say like, if subnet is not set, for example, rather than if subnet is blank, or if the array you've passed in is blank, because you can pass in blank arrays, or just don't set it. Like, this is a much nicer way of interacting with your custom resource. There's probably a better ways of seeing than saying that, with some examples. So let's say if we go docker_network and foo, and then we subnet. So the property here, we're setting the property. Right now, if we don't set the property, we would get a nil. So subnet would equal nil. AK isn't set internally. If we have subnet, and we can set this to like, I don't know, an array actually. So we can do 1 .0. Whatever. IP address in there. There's an IP address in there somewhere. But if we also accepted, so we could do that, and that would be a blank array. I'm not sure why you would do that, but we could. That would be a blank array. We could detect blank arrays and do funny things with it. Or, so this is the way it used to be done. So people would say, "Hey, I've got an empty array," and then detect the empty array. Well, like, just do that. That's much nicer. Like, okay, I haven't set what my intention is. I don't want to set or know about the subnet property here, so let's just not mention it and hush hush about it, and it's all good. Does that make sense? Kind of
makes sense.
Ish. My brain's hurting now, so I'm probably going to stop. There we go. That's where the error was. That's probably fine. Yeah, as you can see, like, I'm going through this, and like, oh well, that's not needed anymore. We don't need that. And then don't need that anymore. And then probably, actually, I know for a fact, it's because I did it the other day. So these coerce methods we could put into a library, because that makes this whole class a little bit nicer. So if I open that up, and we can put it into a helper library. So Dan, didn't you just move them out of a library? Well, yes, I did. But if I scroll down to helpers coerce. Oh, did I not merge that in? I thought it's another pull request. So if we go to helpers network, we can add helper modules in, which you could include programmatically, which is really nice. What that means, or the end of this story is, what that means is that your custom resource, which does all your actions and loading current resources, doesn't need to worry about coercing. Like, this doesn't help your user, your contributor figure out, like, no one cares about coercing IP ranges or coercing subnets and gateways. Like, that's a thing for this. Like these coercing properties up here happen. You're like, well, if I want to figure that out, I'll find it in a library somewhere. Like, well, I'm just going to delete it. Like, if I get rid of this, I'm using Git, so I can reset it anyway, so it's fine. But this is much more readable now. So I've got properties and I've got loading current value. It's got to be in here. You've got no choice about that stuff. And then I've got our actions. So we've got properties, current values of all the things, and then I've got actions. That is a little bit easier to read because you've got like declare and then do, declare and then do, rather than declare and then eventually do, because it's like, just get out of my face. I'll include you later on. And what's really nice about that method there is now you've pushed them out into a library. You can do things like we do in the Apache cookbook, because you can just test them separately as you would do a normal Ruby method. And it makes testing so much easier. Like, if I put this thing in, do I get this thing out? And you can just do complete black box testing with those methods, rather than having to load in a library, load in the custom resource, and then make sure the custom resource does that thing with that coercing thing, and then like you haven't got to load the entirety of Chef. It's much quicker. Yes, enough of me babbling on about like doing the right thing. It's like helpful tidbits. Maybe someone find that useful when they're designing their own custom resource, or generally, like if you're writing code, when do you push things out into a library method or an include? Like, when do you push those out? For me personally, it's like when you want to reuse it, or when you want to increase readability and testability. Chef in this kind of instances, it pushes me that way, whereas I feel like I have to load this entire thing in, like the entirety of Chef in, to test this one little tiny method here. Can't just test this one method. Well, yeah, I can if I move it over here into a library, and it makes everything much quicker. So I did Chef exec delivery local and run RSpec earlier on. Some of those RSpec tests were running really, really, really quickly because they haven't got to load in the entirety of Chef. You can tell when you are loading in Chef because there's 1,000 or 2,000 files in there, or I'm loading in 5 files. It's just that is the end of that. There's no contest there really, which is pretty sweet. Okay, I'm going to call that a day. I'm going to call my rambling a day there. But if anyone's got any questions, including questions about the hackathon, join us next Tuesday when we can go through that stuff there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes. So next Tuesday we are going to be doing the mentor sessions. So you're gonna have all of our mentors on, and we're going to talk about like what their expertise is and how they're going to be able to help all the participants.
Yeah, I think how many mentees have we got, or mentors? Sorry.
So we're still actually recruiting for mentors, but we currently have about 3, and yeah, 3. But I want to, I said we wanted 3 or 4, but now that we've got so many participants, I'm like, we might need more.
Yeah, we were not expecting. I think actually, let's go and check dev posts, because last time I checked dev posts, it was like 70. No, okay, it's 98 now. What happened there?
Oh wow, yeah. So we need more mentors.
Yeah, definitely need more mentors. Like, I guess someone has seen the fact that we've got $15,000 in like first prizes. Like, people want to get that. If you haven't, like, here we go. Let me just put a link there. Like, you should do this.
Shameless plug. You should definitely like at least try. It's worth it. It's worth it.
£15,000 in first prizes, 10 in second, 5k in third prize. iPad Pros for best implementation. Most promising idea. We've got 4 PS5 to give away, which
and
is
right. It's mad how you get 4 PS5s.
I don't know where they're magicking them from, and maybe they, I don't know,
some wizardry.
Progress have got some inside people somewhere, right? Yeah, we've got to get some swag to give away, right? It's all good.
Oh, absolutely, plenty of swag. T-shirts for everybody on the team, stickers, and a badger badge.
So that's what everyone gets. Anyone who submits that gets all of that stuff.
That's true. Yep.
So I mean, like the biggest pull request or the smallest pull request or the biggest solution or the smallest solution, you'll get anything, right? You'll get your swag pack. If you're just looking for swag packs, that is where you got to go. Which actually reminds me, and I was thinking about this last night. Hacktoberfest is coming up soon, which is a worldwide open source celebration in doing this kind of stuff. So that is another Hackfest, which runs the entirety of October, and Chef and Sous Chef's repos will be viable for this kind of thing. So it's targeted slightly differently, and the prizes are very different. But all you need to go and do is submit pull requests. All you need to go and do is submit pull requests and for doing things like adding change logs or fixing documentation or adding features. If you submit and contribute to open source during October, and you're on a repository or an organization that is Hacktoberfest compatible, those organizations will know what they are. Then you'll get some free swag at the end of it, which is pretty sweet. I wonder if I'm
sweet.
Oktoberfest. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat because I'm excited about the mentors. We get steak, right? I mean, it might have been a mistake. No. Yeah, I think we can get some swag and some stuff for the mentors. I think, I think swag. I mean, we'll get something for the mentors because it's going to be, I mean, like one mentor at the minute per 20 people. Well, 20 teams.
No, they gotta have swag. Absolutely.
Yeah. 20 teams to mentor, which should be interesting because I know one submission is just one team, I know, and then they've got 2 or 3 people in it. There could be a team of up to 10, 15, 20 people doing this kind of stuff. So, who knows?
Right.
But, I mean, who doesn't like steak? But we can get something. We can do something. Yeah, Hacktoberfest. I've dropped it in the stream in the chat links. You should totally get on board with this. It's really, really cool. We did it last year, and I'm going to do it again this year. I should just cool off on the submissions for Docker Hub and then Docker, and then I'll get all my t-shirt within a day. Or maybe make 15 pull requests just to remove. Don't do this, by the way. Yeah, this is just bad.
Don't do that. It sounds like a dumpster fire waiting to happen.
Oh, it was a dumpster fire last year. So what happened last year? I don't know if anyone noticed it. That knows that Hacktober. There were some streamers, some YouTubers that said, "Hey, all you need to go and do is like correct a single character in repositories and submit a pull request, and you'll get your prizes." And it's people going around opening up pull requests in 15 repositories, and people on the first day of October just got inundated with really bad quality pull requests, and it didn't help anybody. Like, the idea of Hacktoberfest is to help open source thrive and get people interested in doing open source rather than just being like, here's a pull request, change a single letter, can I have my t-shirt now? Like, just t-shirt. Like what you've done there is you've made someone's CI system run for almost no reason, probably. You've notified a bunch of maintainers who probably haven't got much time anyway. But hey, here's a single line pull request, and they've probably gone, this isn't worth it, or you've actually made things worse, and they've denied it. You've just wasted everyone's time there. Like, the best thing to do is make a worthwhile investment in time for you and the people, and submit really, really cool, really worthwhile pull requests. Which is kind of like the thing we're trying to do with the Chef Hackathon as well, is we're going to getting people involved in Chef, and so like creating really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've already seen what I've heard one of the submissions, and I'm personally excited by it because I'll be using it. So there we go.
I don't know why like people just keep calling me on Teams like I'm gonna answer.
This might be why I don't even open Teams. I got a phone call yesterday on Teams, and I was like,
yeah, that's what's happening right now.
Really, like an actual phone call.
A phone call, and it's just
So
like,
weird, right?
this happens like a lot actually.
I get voicemails all the time, and I'm like, what is going on? And then you open the voicemail up, and it's like someone like butt dialed me or something. I'm like, or I actually answered the phone yesterday on the thing, and he was like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like the person didn't expect me to answer the phone.
Right.
I'm like, well, no.
No.
I know.
No.
So yeah. So yeah, Hacktoberfest, go and do it. Be a good human being as well. What else was I going to say? That's it, pretty much.
Yeah.
Go and submit awesome cool things.
Did we talk about community Slack? I don't know.
Oh no!
Definitely, if you're not already on community Slack,
do it.
Get on our community
Slack.
Bam,
bam, bam.
This way. All right. Boom. Wait. Damn it. I keep
so that's been approved. Oh no. Boom. So those pull requests have already been approved, and merge domain, and one of them has been released, which is pretty sweet actually.
Sweet. All with the so one of the sous chefs has to approve it, but once it's approved, the bot does the rest, right?
So once it's merged, the bot does a bunch of. So if anyone wants some ideas about how to do this properly, here have some ideas. So once the pull request is merged and all the checks have gone green, checks have gone green, pull request merged, it will bump the metadata version based on the label you've added to it. So if you've done a major, it will add like it'll bump it'll go from 9.0.0.1 or whatever to 10 if it's a major, and then or whatever from major, minor, and patch. So it'll bump the metadata version of the cookbook. That'll then add a changelog entry. Why am I doing this? I could just show you the commits. Chrome tab, Docker log. So go back to code, and I can just go back to commits. So we merged this in, all good. Let me update the changelog. Then we update the metadata, and then we reset the changelog. So the next person gets the unreleased line. So it doesn't. So all of like the flighty stuff done, and then in the middle of those two, I believe it is, we create a GitHub release, which is here 2 minutes ago. That contains the changelog that we found underneath the unreleased line. So we kind of grab that whole section. We create a GitHub release with that one with a tag, and the tag is the same as the metadata version, which is why we've got all of these tags here now. So we've got tags, and these are all the cookbook versions. So blah, blah, blah. So we've released a cookbook a few times, and then after it's done create a GitHub artifact, it will then get a supermarket. So if I go to supermarket, it will just upload it to supermarket. So go there, and then Docker, I think it is. You can't see me typing right now, but it's in the back. Try again. So there we go. 9.5.0 released or updated today. this description is changing, but there we go. So it does all of that stuff. So with knife in the background, it'll go knife, cookbook, upload, supermarket, bada bing, bada boom.
Okay.
We have the Docker cookbook uploaded to supermarket. We used to have to do this all manually, which was fine if you have 10 cookbooks, if you have 20 cookbooks. If you have 165 cookbooks, this is not fine. Manually, it's not fine anymore. I mean, to be honest, when we had 60 cookbooks, manual wasn't fine because I'd forget to do it regularly. And then it's manual, like a bit of change log, and then the metadata, and then tag the thing, and then do a stove. Like, no, thank you. This does it all for us. Just nice. So that's cool. There's a Kubernetes app, I think, in the background that listens for GitHub API calls. I think it's a Ruby app that does that and then runs knife under the hood, which is pretty sweet. If it's on main, so anything that's passed changes or it's just gone to main and it's got a tag on it, it knows what to do with them, which is really nice. And we're in the process of writing V2 of that now, which is going to be written in TypeScript rather than Ruby, because TypeScript is GitHub's like language of choice, and they've got a thing called Probot. Let me just find this. So when I mentioned the other day about no, I don't know who you are. Also, who's ringing me? Probot. So Probot is GitHub's like their GitHub app to automate and improve a workflow. Some really, really nice things in here. So you can set like auto label things. Some really cool stuff. There we go. So, I mean, there's tons of them. And I'm going to write it. We're in the middle of writing it in TypeScript, which is trickier than writing things in Ruby because I mostly write Ruby things, but it's still fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just cool. But yeah, if you've not done that before, the Probot stuff is really, really nice. I'm using it to learn TypeScript when I get a chance. So I haven't done anything in about a month because Chef Conf kind of consumed my brain.
Same.
But it's done. Just nice. Does anyone have any questions before we just go? We drop out of here. We're going. We're a Scarpa. I'll take your silence as a no, as a resounding no. Thanks very much, Dan. You're awesome.
Yes. Sounds like a no to me. Sounds like you have explained everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody should know how to be able to go and do and convert libraries to custom resources like after this.
Yeah.
Well, if you do need extra help, you can find us on the community Slack.
Yes.
Yep, we're in DevRel. We're in Hackathon for the Hackathon. For the Hackathon, and we are everywhere. We're in general. You have a huge presence.
Sous. Yeah.
Sous chefs. Yeah. And also the info room. I am in Habitat. So yes, and you can DM us.
Yeah, feel free to DM us. I mean, if it's questions, we prefer those questions like in the open because everyone else can like learn from your questions basically.
Yep.
If it's a stupid question, I've probably asked it, so don't worry about it. It's never a stupid question as well. Sometimes you might have like trouble like trying to phrase it. I'm happy to like be DM'd a draft question if you want to, and then we can like move it to a public forum if you're scared. But yeah, don't be scared. Don't be afraid of asking questions in the community Slack. Everyone's lovely, and there's always some really gnarly questions in there. So if I can't answer it, probably someone else will. Or we can't answer it. Then we can then someone else will know what to do. On that note, on that mumbly note, I think we'll just leave it there. Thanks very much.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye.